Okay, are we good now? Okay, can people there hear me? Yes, I get a thumbs up. Everybody there? Kalidasi, can you hear me?
I can only, yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good, I guess. So I'm going to start with a hymn to Aparajita, which is from the 5th chapter of the Chandi, the Dev Mahatmyam. So just be patient. Okay, y'all, be patient. Namo Devyai Mahadevyai Shivayai Satatam Namaha Nama Prakrityai Badrayai Niyata Pranatasmatam Rodrayai Namo Nityayai Ghoryai Datrai Namo Namaha Jyotsnayai Chendarupinyai Sukhayai Satatam Namaha Kalyanyai Pranatavrityai Siddhyai Kurmo Namo Namaha Naripjai Bubu Pritam Lakshmai Sharvanyai Te Namo Namaha Durgayai Durgaparayai Sarayai Sarvakarinyai Kyatyai Tataiva Krishnayai Dumrayai Satatam Namaha Ati Somyati Rodrayai Natastasyai Namo Namaha Namo Jaga Pratishtayai Devyai Krityai Namo Namaha. Salutations to the Devi, to the Divine Mother of the Universe. Salutations always to her who is auspicious. Salutations to her who is the primordial cause and the sustaining power. Salutations to her who is gracious. With mind's intent, we bow down to her. Salutations to her who is terrible, to the Divine Mother who is eternal, the Shining One. To her who sustains the universe, salutations again and again. Salutations always to her who is the moon and is moonlight and is happiness itself. We bow to her who is auspicious beauty. We make salutations again and again to her who is prosperity and attainment. Salutations again. Salutations again and again to her who is the fortune and misfortune of kings. Salutations to Sharvani, the consort of Shiva. Salutations always to Durga, who takes us through difficulties, who is the creator and indwelling essence of all. She who is right knowledge, we bow to her who is at once most gentle and most fierce. Salutations to her again and again. Salutations to her, the Divine Mother, who is the support of the world. To the Divine Mother, who is the doer of every activity. Salutations to her again and again. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Happy Durga Puja, happy Navaratri. We're now towards the end of Navaratri, which is the 9-day festival of the Divine Mother, of Mother Durga, in fact. And tomorrow, we just had our big celebration yesterday. Swami Sarvadevnata came up and did this beautiful puja. You can see how pretty the shrine is. Of course, couldn't have the big crowds like we love having, but maybe next year, we'll see. Tomorrow is the finale, the big finale of the Navaratri. It's Vijaya Day. And it means, Jaya means victory to, salutations to. So it's Vijaya, this great day of celebration and jubilation, because it's the day when the Devi is celebrated for triumphing over the demons. It celebrates this, and it's now peace, joy, and harmony have been restored. And everything that was going awry has been put back in order, and the Divine Mother reigns supreme over the world. So in India, or people of Indian descent, especially in the eastern portion of India, it's a great day of celebration. It's really the big, just as our Christmas is in the West, that's what Durga Puja is in India, or the eastern portion of India. On the western, northwestern, it's where they celebrate the end of the Rama Leela. So it's also a time of great celebration. Again, the triumph of good over evil. In Bengal, it's like everybody wears new clothes. Special food is made for the occasion. There's special songs that are just for this occasion. And it's everybody gets together, and the men do what they call the kola kuli, which is a 3-part hug. It's like 1, 2, 3, for a kolakuli just done on the day of Vijaya. And the women put the mark of the sindoor on each other's forehead. It's just this tremendous time of celebration. So it will be tomorrow, which marks the end of Durga Puja. But this whole time is a season of Divine Mother. This is when we're now at the very end of Durga Puja. In November, the first part, we go into Kali Puja. And Kali, of course, is also a manifestation of Mother Durga. She is a fierce, but also very loving manifestation of Mother Durga. And towards the end of the month, we have Jagadatri Puja. And Jagadatri is again a manifestation of Durga. And she is the manifestation, is she who supports, maintains, upholds this world. So it's this entire season of Divine Mother. And it has great meaning, not only for culturally, but philosophically for us all. It's a great, powerful time. So in India, they also have this thing at the Durga Puja time where people have their own individual shrines. They often build them outside. And these really large, almost like open air huts, where an image of the goddess is being worshipped every day. And people go from house to house to house to see everybody's images and how they're being decorated. It's again almost like a Christmas where you go to see their Christmas decorations, but this goddess is alive and being worshipped. So it's like this great time. And at Vijaya Day, it's the day when the images of the Divine Mother are immersed in the Ganges or in other sacred rivers, because the image is made out of straw and covered with clay that's then molded to make these beautiful, very looking like living images. And they're painted and decorated and dressed. And so she's put into the Ganges and she just kind of dissolves into the elements. But everybody understands that Mother Durga is going back to the Himalayas to be with her husband Shiva. And we ask Mother Durga to come back, come back, come back again, come back again. So it's again this great celebration. Agamani, special songs for Durga Puja being sung. People outside are singing and banging drums. It's just like firecrackers going. It's a great part. It's a great thing. So today I wanted to speak on the power of the Divine Feminine, or Shakti, because it's this great season now of the Divine Mother. And it's a time for us to also to reflect on what this power of the Divine Feminine is. All these, what we're celebrating, are all manifestations of Shakti. And Shakti is the power of God. It's the feminine aspect of the divine. Sri Ramakrishna repeatedly said that Brahman and Shakti are the same. They're like two sides of the same coin. He said Brahman and the power of Brahman can't be separated. So Brahman, of course, is this infinite being, infinite consciousness, infinite joy, the divine substratum of everything that exists. But the power of Brahman is called Shakti. And this Shakti is in the realm of creation, preservation, and destruction. Brahman and Shakti are inseparable. He said it's like fire and the power to burn. We can't think about fire without thinking of its power to burn. He said it's like milk and its whiteness. We won't even think about chocolate milk. It's disgusting. But milk and the whiteness of milk. And we think about, he said, or water and its wetness. You can't think about water without thinking about your getting wet. Those are inseparable as Brahman and Shakti, Brahman and the power of Brahman. And he said, very importantly, everybody, that all women are manifestations of Shakti. All women are manifestations of Shakti. In the Chandi, this grand 700 verse hymn to the Divine Mother, known officially as the Devi Mahatmyam, affectionately known as the Chandi, it says, all forms of knowledge are your aspects, O deity, and so are all women in this world, endowed with various attributes. Some women can be manifestations of vidya, divine knowledge. Some can be manifestations of avidya, ignorance. But all women, Sri Ramakrishna repeatedly said, I see all women as manifestations of the Divine Mother. So I think it's important for us to remember that is our real nature, manifestations of the Divine Mother. Interestingly, it's not just women who have the Shakti power going. The avatar is also a manifestation of Shakti. Sri Ramakrishna said that God incarnates through his Shakti. And I was like, huh. I mean, I've heard the gospel how many thousands of times, read it how many times. It somehow never struck me, maybe because I wasn't really thinking about the idea very much. But then I thought, huh, I am incarnated through a Shakti. So I checked it out, and it says, Shaktar I avatar. Shakti, the avatar is of Shakti alone. Is of Shakti alone. And I thought about, well, yeah, that makes sense. How can impersonal divine reality incarnate? Once you come down, the avatar literally means whoop, coming down, avatri, whoop, down. Once the avatar comes down, we go into the realm of creation, preservation, dissolution. Then we go into the realm of Shakti. So it's interesting because we tend to think of incarnations as being sort of that's the domain of the male. No, it's the domain of Shakti. And Sri Ramakrishna really makes it clear that it's the feminine divine power, the Shakti, that actually incarnates, because creation is the domain of Shakti. In the Chandi, it is said, by you this universe is born, by you it is created, by you it is protected, O Devi, and you always consume it at the end. Said, O you who are the form of the whole world, at the time of creation, you are the form of the creative force. At the time of preservation, you are the preserving force. And at the time of dissolution, you are the destructive force. So all these are in the realm of the Divine Mother, every part of it. Now, the backstory on the Chandi is that the great goddess is called upon by the Devas, by the gods, because they're in trouble. They have been fighting the Asuras, the very, very bad demons. And the demons have taken over the heavens, the world, and the underworld. And they've taken over everything. They're causing chaos wherever they are. And they've just, and the Devas, the gods, fought them for a full 100 years, and they lost. You know, win a few, lose a few. They lost. What to do? Mom, help, help. What do? What do we all do? We call on Mother. They called on the Divine Mother. Said, everything, the battle is lost. They've taken over the heavens, the world. The holy people aren't allowed to do their sacrifices. They're just creating destruction and sacrilege everywhere. So they invoked the power of the Divine Feminine. She came to their aid. She destroyed the Asuras. She did. That's what the Divine Mother does. In the Chandi, the Devi has 3 great battles with the Asuras, with the demons. And these demons represent various kleshas, pain-bearing obstacles that we all have in our lives. And these battles that she has, all of them have very deep philosophical and spiritual meaning. They're not just like, action comics. They all have very, very profound meaning to them. And Mother Durga fights all of them in battle. In the first battle, she fights the demons Madhu and Kaitava. And these are like your basic sub-demon. They're like, your older brother's Chevy on Paul. It's like, rah, rah, rah. These guys are just basic ignorance. They're ugly. They're filthy. They're brutes. They're vicious. All they want is to gratify their most base desires. And they're going to do it by force. It's like the caveman with a club. We know people like that. You just stay away from them. These Divine Mother Durga slays them with ease, and they represent basic spiritual ignorance, avidya. She destroys that avidya. That's what we need. In the second battle, the deity fights the demon Mahisasura. He's a very interesting character because he is generally shown as the buffalo demon. If you look here on our shrine, you see the Divine Mother Durga is slaying the buffalo demon. And just as she's ready to kill him, he changes into lion because he's a shapeshifter. Mahisasura can change into any form that he wants at will. So he changes into a lion. So she's going to kill the lion, and then he becomes an elephant, this huge elephant. She kills, and then he changes into a man. And then he goes back into a buffalo again. So he's continually changing form, just like our delusions do. This delusion, that delusion, this delusion, that delusion. Whew. But he's above all characterized by rage, sheer unadulterated rage. Mahisasura is described in the Chandi as pawing the earth in rage. He's destroying earth with his hoofs. And he's got these big, we call them not antlers, horns, that he's taking the sky down. He's ripping up the sky and scattering the clouds. He's destroying the cosmos out of sheer rage. You know what? A lot in America seems to be a lot of that just unthinking, violent rage. It's like, oh, Mother, please destroy it. But he's more than that too, because he's a shapeshifter. So it isn't just rage that she's killing. He really represents all the 6 poisons, all the evil passions within us that destroy our life. They destroy our spiritual life, but basically they destroy all life. And they are anger, desire, greed, pride, jealousy, and delusion. Now, ouch. All of us have to deal with this in some small amount or a big amount, in one form or the other. It comes with human nature. This incredible delusion, this incredible deluding power, all these vicious forms of active ignorance. And the Divine Mother comes and she slays them. Now, the Bhagavad Gita also talks about our two main enemies. I mean, he's on the battlefront with Arjuna, and he's saying, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajo guna samudbhavaha, Mahashano mahapapma, Vidye nami havarninam. It is anger, it is lust that are your big enemies. Know them and destroy them. It's like, it's not that enemy out there, it's that enemy in here, Kama Krodha, passion and anger. Those will, he said, Ihavarnam, they will destroy you. That's your enemy. So because Mahisasura is so famous as a shapeshifter, Swami Tyaganath, I get the Boston announcement, so I read what his announcement was for Durga Puja, and this absolutely got me. He said, in his Durga Puja announcements, he said, Mahisasura was like a chameleon. He could change forms at will. He said this year, he seems to be taking the form of the COVID crisis, of the COVID virus. And so he's become COVID Ashura this year. And he said, let us hope and pray that the Divine Mother will soon destroy this menace and bring peace and relief to her children. So I'm mentioning this also for a second reason, not only because it's like true, obviously, but also because it shows that Mother Durga is relevant. I think we in the West have a danger of trying to pigeonhole Mother Durga and her story as like, that's mythology. Nice mythology. Yes, it has symbolic meaning, or pigeonhole of, kind of interesting, weird cultural Indian stuff, maybe history, kind of, I don't know. No, Divine Mother Durga is very real. She's absolutely relevant, and she is very powerful. It's not, don't pigeonhole her because we miss out. That's why. So in the third battle, the deity fights Shumba and Nishumba, which represent I and mine. The ego, me, and mine, everything that I associate as mine, my car, my house, my wife, my beliefs, my value system, my friends, my enemies, my things, my desires, this ever-growing octopus of who we identify with as the ego. It's like this infinite octopus going, yes, to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. Those are the demons that she destroys, and she does it easily. And then there is Raktabija, who's like, Raktabija was given a boon by Brahma, who's always, creating trouble for the other gods. Anyway, Brahma gives him the boon that you will not, that if anyone tries to slay you, any drop of blood that touches the ground will become another complete Raktabija, another asura of the same form and strength. So Divine Mother's out there on her line, just going after him, and all these drops of blood become other Raktabijas. And of course, she slays him because she's very clever, she and her lion. But what does that represent? Our desires. We think that, I'll satisfy this desire and it'll be over. Nope, never works. It's like, as they say, trying to put out a flame by pouring ghee into it, pouring butter into a flame, just increases all the more. Our desires are infinite and they're unquenchable. They grow exponentially. That's what Raktabija represents to us. So these are the three demons that she fights in battle. And as our wonderful devotee, Devadatta, pointed out in his fabulous translation of the Devi Mahatmya, it's called In Praise the Goddess. He points out that the battleground where she's fighting these demons, he said this symbolic healing ground represents human frailties. And where Mother and all these demons she's really targeting the ego. It's the demon of the ego. And when she slays them, she dispels our mistaken idea of who we are. We identify with the ego. We don't identify with that divinity within us. That's what she's destroying. It's like, he says it so eloquently. So the Divine Mother kills these demons easily, no problem. She does it with her lion, killing them, and she always has this gentle smile on her face. And even as she kills the demons, she releases them, she frees them, because her compassion is absolutely boundless. So when the deity finally conquers the demons and she's victorious, the Chandi says, the universe became happy and regained perfect peace, and the sky became clear. Flaming portent clouds that were in evidence before became tranquil, and the rivers kept within their banks when Shumba was stricken down. When he had been slain, the minds of all the Devas became happy, and they became and were overjoyed, and the Gandharvas, the divine minstrels, sang sweetly, and the sacred fires blazed peacefully, and tranquil became the strange sounds that had risen in different parts of the world. Doesn't that sound enviable? Doesn't that sound like what we want? All their troubles had ceased. They were gone. All these evil signs, all their fears, all their justifiable anxieties were gone. It's like, whew. And we could just imagine how, if we were on the earth at the time, how terrifying and traumatizing it must have been for the world. Because the idea that now it's great, the rivers are in their banks. It's like, well, that's good. That's good they're in their banks. Yeah, it's really not good when they're, flowing outside of their banks. Oh, good. There were flaming clouds in the sky that were pretending evil. Oh, now they're gone. Oh, good. It must have been, there were terrifying sounds. Like, what's that? What's that? What's that sound? And you can imagine, it's like, how terrifying. We don't know what it is. We don't know where it's coming from. It sounds horrible. We're terrified. We don't know how to fix it or make it go away. Okay, now the sky is clear. The clouds are there. Okay, it's gone. The sun's become very brilliant, it says. So, okay, they could breathe. Their adrenaline is like, okay. Everyone can breathe again. Divine Mothers come and we have peace. Finally, we have peace. And you know what? We all understand this. We all feel it. You know what? We went through this a couple of years with the fires and the mudslides. And it's like, you scratch beneath the surface. It's like, there's that fight or flight instinct right there, ready to jump up again. So we know what it's like to be in a situation like that. And we have it absolutely now with that COVID, because it seems like this whole scenario is becoming true all over again, because it feels like there is something out there aiming for us. We don't know who has the gun. We don't know where the gun is coming from. We don't know why they're shooting at us, but it feels like something out there is trying to get us. We can't see it. We can't feel it. We're not aware of it, but we know it's there. And then on top of it, there's this election. So when we read in the Chandi about how terrifying it was, and then the Divine Mother came in her light and destroyed the demons, and then there was perfect peace and harmony and beauty established on the world again, we go, oh yeah, that is the goddess for me. That is what I want right now. And it rings true for us because we want to believe, we really want to believe that eventually when everything is lined up just right, when the planets are in alignment, when we do everything just right, things on Earth will finally be on their way to progress. There'll be real progress in the world. And there will finally be peace, and there'll be understanding, and we'll be on the road to real peace on Earth and universal sanity. You know what? We thought that after the Berlin Wall came down. We thought that after World War I. It's like, now we will have universal peace. We thought it after World War II. We thought it would happen when another president was elected. Now it'll be great. We think it'll be better when another president is booted out. Now it'll be great. It'll be perfect when we eliminate racism, when we stop systemic racism. It'll be perfect when we end the pandemic. It'll be perfect when we stop global warming. It'll be perfect when we stop poverty, when we finally have children that can be educated. It'll be perfect when we stop women from being beaten. But it just doesn't work that way, because we don't get this progress where everything will be good. You know, Americans love the idea of progress. It's in our bone marrow. We can't help it, because we tend to think of life as being like on this timeline. There's now, there was then, and there's now, and the future, yay, beaming and bright. And we're kind of going up on this gradient up towards progress, where we will have it. We'll have it, and finally everything will make sense. We'll overcome all these difficulties, and people can be treated with loving and fairly, with justice and mercy and equality. But it doesn't work out that way. Swami Vivekananda said, I do not believe in eternal progress. They were growing on ever and ever in the straight line, because he pointed out straight line gone on infinitely eventually becomes a circle. He said, the progress of the world means more enjoyment and more misery too. The mixture of life and death, good and evil, knowledge and ignorance is what we call Maya. To have good and no evil is childish nonsense. To have good and evil isn't possible, and no good is no. He said, but there are two ways left open. One is to give up all hope and to take the world as it is, and you bear the pangs and the pains in the hope of a crumb of happiness from the table sometime or other. He said, the other option is to give up the search for pleasure, because we know it to be pain in another form, and to seek for truth instead. It's like, oh man, that's tough. why does he say that pleasure is pain in another form? Because you know what? Sounds like sour grapes to me. You've become a monk so no one else can have fun, right? You see someone out dancing and having a good time, having a just enjoyment time. What is your problem with that? You're just in a bad mood. You had a bad stomach that day. Why do you say that? Because it seems rude. Because pleasure is temporary. That's the whole problem. All pleasure is temporary. Anything out there, anything external is temporary. And the problem is, if we have something, it's never enough. We're going to want something more. So, what does the Divine Mother do when she kills the demons? What does it mean for us? I mean, personally. Well, I mean, she's killing our demons, and we got plenty. We got plenty to choose from. The Chandi says, "Oh, Mother, when remembered in times of distress, you remove fear from every person. When remembered when we are untroubled, you give us even greater serenity of mind. O dispeller of poverty, pain, and fear, who other than you has a mind intent on benevolence towards all beings?" The Divine Mother won't create a perfect world, but she will create a perfect us. Jesus said, "Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." Vedanta says all perfection, all strength, all purity lies within us because that is our real nature. That is who we are. It is intrinsic to what we are, and everything else is a covering over that. We only have to access it. Okay, great. I'm going to act. Why can't I access it then? How come I wake up and it's like there's not enough coffee in the world for me to feel okay about this morning? Why can't we access it? Because we're looking for perfection and joy outside of ourselves instead of looking inside of ourselves. That's the problem. The Chandi says, "O Devi, O Queen of all, you who exist in the form of all and possess all power, protect us from all fears. O Devi Durga, salutation to you." You know what? Fear is the most debilitating emotion that we can possibly have. Fear. And it gets worse because we often don't examine it and we just react to it. We don't examine it because we think it'll hurt more. We'll be more afraid if we actually open it up and look at it. So we do anything to avoid actually going in and seeing what the source of the fear is. We simply go into either fight or flight, or we hide or we drown ourselves in external preoccupations. Some of them are, enjoyments. Some of them are worthy in the small picture, but in the bigger picture, we just get so wrapped up that we simply forget who we are. We just forget. We get too wrapped up in everything else. We do anything we can to forget our fear, to forget what's, bearing down on our necks. So, and that fear can be paralyzing, or it just makes us miserable, or it makes us just anxious all the time. So because of this sort of amorphous fear, it's like, something's gunning for me. I know it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. I know it's all these things that are out there, and they're justifiable. They're justifiable anxieties. But we look for something outside of ourselves to make us feel better, something to give us hope, something to give us some sense of stability, something outside of ourselves to give us strength, something to get us through the day, anything to just get me through this day. But we're the only ones who can give ourselves strength. The only ones. We're the only ones who give ourselves joy, because nothing outside of ourselves is capable of giving us fearlessness or joy. Nothing can do that but ourselves. We have to develop our own inner strength. We have to develop our own inner source of joy, which is there in the first place. We just have to access it. The Divine Mother destroys our demons, and she removes our obstacles. And these obstacles are called in Sanskrit kleshas. They are pain-bearing obstacles. We had a beloved friend here. He was a professor at UCSB, and we knew him for at least 40 years. He was the chair of religious studies, and Dr. Gerald James Larson, Jerry, and he would always say, "Oh, you Vedanta, you just believe that there's nothing." And he was a great Sankhya philosopher, so I used to call him Swami Kleshananda, he who finds joy in pain-bearing obstacles, which he enjoyed greatly. But the Divine Mother removes our kleshas. That's what she's doing with that sword, with that spear and that club. That's what she's doing. She's destroying these pain-bearing obstacles. Because once those obstructions are gone, then we can access our own innate divinity, our own innate joy, our own innate fearlessness and strength. That is who we are. It's within us. All strength and power is within us. We just have to access it. They're lying within us. We just have to bring them to the light, to bring them out. That's why we need to access the power of the divine feminine, that Shakti power. We hear a lot about Brahman in Vedanta, this divine self within us, this infinite consciousness, being, and joy. And we are that infinite divine reality. We are that infinite being, consciousness, and joy, but we get caught up in the spin, in the washing machine and all that. We forget. And we forget because we get taken up with a zillion useless things and sometimes worthy things, but we get taken up. What's another word for this? Maya. We get deluded by the power of delusion. And that is the Divine Mother. That is why the Divine Mother is called Mahamaya, the great delusion, because she's not only the source of all knowledge, she's also the source of delusion, of covering her with her veil of Maya. The Chandi said, by her, this universe is deluded, and it is she who creates this universe. And when entreated, she bestows supreme knowledge. And when propitiated, she bestows prosperity. So why? What's in it for her? Why does she delude us with her Maya? Well, one frequent answer is that it's her play. It's her sport. It's her Leela. Sri Ramakrishna said, the universe is the Divine Mother's play. And he often said, she likes her play to go on. And if we all are sitting there meditating on our real nature, creation is going to come to a dead halt. So that's why she likes to keep the creation going. Okay, have fun. Here it goes. Come confusion, come delusion. Divine Mother likes to have her creation go on. But when the child gets tired of endless play, they just go, oh, I'm sick of this. Then the Divine Mother comes to him. Another answer is, she doesn't delude us. We delude us. Isn't her. Because we much prefer to get entangled than to be free. We like being entangled. We like getting absorbed in this play. Sri Ramakrishna said the child gets so involved in the play, he doesn't think of his mother. He just gets involved in the play. And then finally, at the end, it's like, oh, I'm sick of the play. I'm sick of it. Where's my mother? Where's my mother? But we like the drama of the play. We like the passion of the play. We love the ups and the downs and the ins and outs and all that chazarai that goes into it. We love it. But eventually we'll get sick of it, and then we'll seek our Divine Mother, because that's the only source of our joy that's lasting. It's the only thing that doesn't disappoint us at the end. Swami Prabhavananda said, I remember he was giving a lecture here sometime in the 60s, either 67 or 68. And he was up here at the lectern, and he said, people come to me and they say, Swami, I want to be reborn again and again. He said, and they shall get their wish. But it's the same old stuff. I thought, oh yeah, that's what it is. But until you get tired of the same old stuff, you'll just go around and around and around, because we enjoy the delusion. We enjoy the passion, the ups and downs, the drama of it all, until we just get sick of it. And then we want something that doesn't disappoint us, something that will give forever, something that will be love that doesn't disappoint, something that's sweet that doesn't turn sour in our mouths, some joy that doesn't turn into pain later on in our lives. And the final answer is, why does she delude us with her Maya? What Maya? Maya doesn't exist. Because Maya only exists as long as we're deluded. If we're not deluded by Maya, it dissipates. Shamakrishna said it's like the uncle who comes and tries to scare. He's trying to scare somebody with, he puts a tiger skin on to try to scare people, and they, oh, you're Uncle Bert. You don't surprise me. It's like, oh, okay. Then he tries to find someone else to scare. He tries the tactic on somebody else. He said, similarly, Maya, once recognized, becomes embarrassed and moves on, tries to find another one to delude in the Maya. So that is the nature of Maya. It's the great cosmic delusion. But the Divine Mother is also the very embodiment of knowledge. She is Vidya. She is Vidya itself, knowledge herself. So her name is Mahamaya. She deludes us, but she is knowledge itself. The Chandi says, who is there but you in the sciences, in the scriptures, and in the sacred Vedic texts? Yet you cause this universe to whirl about again and again within the dense darkness of the depths of attachment. Okay, that sounds familiar. So that's why we have to propitiate the Divine Mother and ask her to please protect us from Maya, from her deluding power. One of the greatest swamis that I had the pleasure of knowing, and it was a great blessing to have his presence in my life, was Swami Lokeshwarananda. And we had a very, very long correspondence for many years. And I was blessed to spend some time with him in Canada a couple of times, over here, and then in India. And he was one of the greatest swamis I knew. He was the founder, he was the founder of Narendrapur, which was not only a boys' academy, but also one of the first schools for the blind in India. He was the founder of Patare Gata, which worked educating the people in the slums. And then he became the head of our Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture in Calcutta. He was there for many years. He was a man of true realization. He was generous and kind and one of the most loving people you could ever meet. He would literally, if he saw a person that didn't have enough clothes, he would take the shawl off his back and hand it to somebody. And he said to me once, he said that we always have to pray for the Divine Mother to protect us from her Maya. And I was surprised he said this, because he was a man of realization. I mean, he had hit a home run. He'd gone around all the bases. He hit home base. He was home free. So I said, why you? And he said, no. Mahamaya is all powerful, he said. And I never forgot that. Mahamaya, no one is ever safe. That's why you see these, oh, he was a great yogi, but I heard he just did this. It's like, oh, he was this great spiritual teacher, but I heard he just do that. That is the power of Mahamaya, thinking that we're somehow home free. Divine Mother is in charge 100% of the time. We cannot forget that. We always have to entreat her, oh Mother, protect me from your delusion, protect me from your Maya. I know you are all powerful. So Maya has her protecting, and she has her projecting and her veiling power. Shamakrishna said, the bliss of God consciousness always exists within you, but is only hidden by the veiling and projecting power of Maya. He said, the less attached you are to the world, the more you love God. So what is this veiling and projecting power? I'm so glad you asked, because I'm going to tell you. The veiling power of Maya stops us from realizing who we are. It deludes us. Even though it lies within our hearts, we don't see it. Even though it's in everything we see, feel, touch, or experience, that veiling power doesn't allow us to see it. The projecting power makes us see diversity, makes us see name and form, It makes us believe that we are an individual and everybody else is someone else. It makes us see separation, that I'm one being and everyone else is some other being, when the realities were only one infinite divine existence. There's not 2 or 3 or a billion almonds. There's only one infinite divine reality. We are one infinite being. But instead, we think that we're an individual. There's just me. There's all these other beings. That's the projecting power. Now, what happens if we think that we're separate from everyone and everything else? That means that we're going to instinctively desire completion. We're instinctively going to desire wholeness. We're going to want, because we don't feel complete, because we feel we're just this itty bitty little thing and there's everything else. Because of that, we will want to get something outside of ourselves to make us feel complete. We'll get something out there. It's like, but there's not enough alcohol, drugs, sex, political power, desire for name and fame, beauty, any of that, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, children's possession, houses, cars, hikes, trips to Europe. Nothing out there will do it for us. But it's that intrinsic power of this projecting power of Maya that makes us feel that we're one being and there's everybody and everything else. That is the source of her deluding power, because nothing out there will ever be enough, only in here. So that is the deluding power. The Chandi says, you are the primeval Maya, which is the source of the entire universe. By you, this universe has been thrown into a delusion, O deity. If you are gracious, you become the cause of final emancipation in this world. So remembering the Divine Mother gives us that great inner strength. The Chandi says, when pleased, you destroy all afflictions, but when displeased, you thwart all aspirations. No calamity befalls those who have taken refuge in you, and those who've taken refuge in you become a source of refuge to others. So I'd like to end on a story. There's not a, I'm sorry, I have to do this because there's no clock up here. So it's like, I want to tell you about one of our devotees who used to come to Vespers every night, and she would discover that she was going to have a second child. And she was so happy because she would come to Vespers and she would sit right in that back corner and she would listen to the Arati songs and she would meditate so that the unborn child could have all these great sounds and vibrations and all this wonderful thing to come into the world with. And when she had her son, he was born with Down syndrome. And the mother and the father and the sister did not miss a beat because she invoked the power of Mother Durga. And she did everything humanly possible to give her son the best possible home, the best possible life, the best possible education. And she really was like, seriously, worked like a demon to change things in Santa Barbara so that her son and all other children and families in that position should never have to go through what she'd gone through, and to make all these things available for everybody. Mother Durga, she said, was and is and remains her constant like pole star of how to behave, how to do it right. Mother Durga. That's why I say that Mother Durga is very real, she's relevant, and she's absolutely very powerful. Holy Mother is a manifestation of Mother Durga. She is Jagadatri Durga. In our puja that we do every day, we say salutations to Sri Sarda Devi, who is the Jagadatri Durga. And in our meditation mantra on Mother Sarda Devi, we say that she is Klesha Harinim. She is the destroyer of these kleshas, of these pain-bearing obstacles. You know, isn't that fantastic? Isn't that what we want in our life? Someone to remove all of these pain-bearing obstacles that we have that bring us so much grief and misery in our lives. So we all need that divine feminine and that divine feminine power in our lives. So during this time of the sacred worship of the Divine Mother, I pray with all my heart that all of us be blessed with her strength, her power, her fearlessness, and her joy. And I'll end on a chant that we do in every single Vedanta society in the world and every single Ramakrishna mission in the world. We sing it every night with our Arati songs. Om Sarva Mangala Mangaye Shive Savarta Sarike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Shri Sti Vinashanam Shakti Bhute Sanatani Gunashaye Gunamaye Narayani Namostute Sharanagati Narta Paritrana Parane Sarvasya Harti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Jaya Narayani Namostute Jaya Narayani Namostute. O you who are the giver of all blessings, O you who are the doer of all good, O you who are the fulfiller of all desires, O you who are the giver of refuge, our salutations to you, our salutations to you, our salutations to you again and again. Thank you. If any of you have any questions or arguments, I'll be happy to address them. Happy Durga Puja to everybody.
Nobody seems to be coming up with any questions.
All right. Good. Have a good, happy rest of your Durga Puja weekend. And tomorrow's the last day. And everybody have a good, safe season of Divine Mother. May everyone be happy and healthy, safe and joyful. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.